That is ridiculous. I love it. Time for patch notes. This is actually a pretty big one today. Not so much in terms of total patch notes themselves, but in general impact. There's some very crazy stuff afoot on the forums at the moment, and it all has to do with the patch itself. There is a bunch of stuff that is coming out in the 2.6.3 patch, which is gonna change things a little bit, and I will start illustrating things accordingly. Let's take a look here. Balance. Now, balance, of course, is something that is eternally difficult when it comes to Stellaris. Of course it is, because it's something that always needs to be worked on. And one important thing that is going to be changed is megacorps. Now, megacorps have a special building. And that special building is the Corporate Assembly, or if you're playing as a criminal megacorp, the Disinformation Center branch. And it has been nerfed into the ground for good reason, and I will illustrate to you why. Notice this planet, it currently has 48 pops on it, and that is pretty good at this time in the game. It's 2244, makes perfect sense. If we go to the replacement here, we can see that the corporate embassy is now no longer capable of being built because it has been nerfed. It is now changed to require 50 pops on planet, and there's a good reason behind that. Basically, the diplomatic weight from economy modifier made megacorps in the latest update extremely powerful, especially with the corporate embassy. Especially because you could just build as many as you want, and that right there clearly was a problem. Yeah, you could just build them wherever you want it, and just keep on stacking those modifiers. That right there is pretty crazy. So yeah, just be aware of that. This is now changed, as this branch office building will no longer allow you to shoot your economic power and in terms of diplomacy up into the stratosphere. So yeah, that one's different. Good times. Let's move on. We're here with the classic United Nations of Earth, one of the default empires within Stellaris. It's pretty cool, it's pretty awesome, and yeah, it's basically Earth in the far future. It's the Federation knockoff, effectively. And they have, of course, prosperously unified themselves within the galaxy, and that's nice. However, what is also nice is this new addition that, you will automatically get the planetary unification technology as a option right at the start of the game, which makes sense, you know, planetary unification, being able to use it straight away, and of course that means you will get the special edicts that allow you to boost your population. Whether or not you should go for this early on is a whole different question, because that, if you can roll the pop growth right at the start of the game, that one's really nice as well, because 1000 energy for the pop growth edict is a little bit much at the start of the game, but it's still a nice thing to have. Now, everybody knows that Juggernaut is the biggest, baddest ship in the game, and it has a couple of cool features, of course, such as something that I've never really touched upon is the ability to refit itself. So, for instance, if you go into the ship designer here and you just say, hey, I want to refit my ship to add the munitions plant, then, yeah, we'll be able to just auto-upgrade our craft over here by using the upgrade fleet button, although it should be able to do it himself because, of course, it is its own shipyard. However, if it has damage to it, as it has right now, it will automatically now start to heal itself. That's right, if your ship has been damaged, you will be able to automatically heal your ship without it having to be sent back to the shipyard, because it is a shipyard by itself. That makes sense, doesn't it? Indeed it does. The Juggernaut can now self-repair without needing any self-repair technologies. So another thing that Paradox for some reason decided to add was the joys of improved crisis strength. Now, in the past, you could easily set your crisis to like nothing or 0.25. Yeah, this slider now goes all the way up to 25. I have no idea what that looks like. Let's take a look. Oh my god, they just spawned with 5.4 million fleet power at 25 crisis strength. The Anchor has 500,000 fleet power. Oh boy. Yeah, break your teeth on that one, please. That is ridiculous. I love it. Oh my god, I need to split up in multiple packs of 244. Oh, that fleet's clearly way too big. We need to split up, boys. Let's get the hell out of here. Let's do this. Oh, that's insanity. So yeah, all the crisis fleets are now a lot more powerful and significantly more dangerous. So please be aware of that. How does this scale to the Fallen Empire? Are they still... Oh, they're boned. Oh, they are so boned. So yeah, times 25 crisis strength is a thing now. Do enjoy. Then there is a complete overhaul of the CYBREX WARFORGE. If you manage to find CYBREX Alpha, which is of course the Ringworld that has the CYBREX on it, you will also be able to find the CYBREX WARFORGE, but it has changed quite significantly. In the past, you'd be able to use it to boost your pop growth speed by an insane amount. Yeah, the new one is changed entirely. It's a solid nerf to robot production. The CYBREX Warform now allows you to build the CYBREX Warform armies at your capital, and it also increases your monthly alloys by 5%. But this is a cool one. It has an active effect, which means you can use 10,000 minerals and turn them into 5,000 alloys. That is extremely good. And just to illustrate this, let's just generate 5,000 alloys coming out of the minerals here. The cooldown for that is, well, it's just a cooldown, obviously, but we need 5,000 alloys to do it again. And if I hover over it again, we're lacking 5,000 alloys. So let me just throw some more resources in there. Yeah, the cooldown is 900 days, which is pretty decent. Still, though, you know, being able to generate a lot of alloys out of minerals is kind of cool. Still, with the cost of 150 influence, is pretty expensive. But if you very quickly want to crank out a fleet, this is pretty nice. Although the reduction in cost of robots, as well as their build speed, is a solid nerf to robot empires, especially if you roll CYBREX early on. Because you would basically be unstoppable if you rolled CYBREX as a robot empire or mechanist empire in that regard. So yeah, this one's been changed. Whilst we're on the subject of nerfing robots, the Flesh is Weak, the first stage in the robot ascension or the synthetic ascension, has been changed as well. Sure, the effects of robot upkeep being reduced by 10% is still a thing. However, pop assembly speed is no longer 33%. That's right, you will no longer get a flat 33% bonus to being assembled pops. That's now 10%. So robots will not be built as fast as before, which by itself is interesting. You know, it's something that was a thing in the past, and again, robots were very, very overpowered, and they've got a solid nerf bat in this patch. Then there is a small change to the galactic market. It has been changed as well. It now has an additional bonus for forming it, in addition to getting, of course, the galactic market. And if you manage to get it within your territory, of course, that bonus reduction in market cost. However, it will now also increase resource storage capacity by 10,000. That is a pretty big boon, especially if you are really busting at the seams for minerals or food. Being able to add an additional 10,000 is very, very good. Being able to increase the size of your economy is always a good thing. So a minor change here, but still pretty awesome. Another minor change that still has a fairly major impact, especially on wide empires that play, again, with robots. Yes, we're continuing the trend of the robot nerf bat. And that, of course, is the extension that robotic assembly plants and their workers will now have a upkeep cost of 2 alloys instead of minerals. This was already the case with standard robot empires, but the roboticists now use 2 alloys in order to build their robots. So please be aware of that. If you're going to go down the robot route, you're going to need to have more alloys in general. So for instance, if I want to build an alloy plant, so let's take a look here quickly. The alloy foundry, of course, produces 6. So you're already trading in a third of the production of a single alloy plant if you also have a robot assembly plant on your planet. Be aware of that. Don't cripple your economy, and make sure that you actually have the alloys that you'll need. You'll probably need to produce an additional alloy foundry to offset this particular nerf, which you need to be aware of. Then there is a change to the policies for the Trade League. In the past, you would be able to go into the Trade League itself, and you would have access to the Trade Policy Trade League. The Trade Policy Trade League is actually really good, but it has now got a little friend. So if we quickly go to the Trade Policy here, you will see that wealth creation is now again available, where every single unit of trade value will be turned into 1 unit of energy, which for a Trade League can be very, very powerful in case you want to get all of that money. Now, with the Trade League modifier, the particular trade policy, you can still get a weaker version of that wealth creation, where 1 trade value is turned into 0.5 energy, but you also get the bonus of the additional unity as well as the consumer goods. So for instance, right now, if I take a quick look here, I get 589 of my trade value being turned into into economy. And if I quickly just forward the month, then I will probably get completely crippled in my consumer goods generation here. As soon as the month ticks over, there it is, immediately minus 100. But I do get plus 500 energy at the moment. And just be aware that you will not be able to flip back to the other trade policy for 10 years. So yeah, be aware of that. Trade League is still really good, but if you want to go for wealth creation, that is now definitely available to you. And then there is some of the more minor stuff in this particular patch that you probably want to be aware of. For instance, docile migrating forest modifiers are now decreased because they reduced the amount of districts on the planet by 1. The docile migrating forest is the migrating forest pacifist outcome, if I'm not entirely mistaken, and you can build your own. No, actually, you can't build. Those are the leviathans. But yeah, migrating forest. If you don't burn them down, they will now become a tile blocker. We got such things as the common ground and hegemony leader. Is now less inclined to be blocked off by their alliance partners, which is pretty big as well. And egalitarians will no longer draw leader enhancement technologies they cannot use. So you will not be able to, get technologies that you can't use if you are egalitarian, which is kind of nice. This is an interesting one. Diplomatic stance can now only be changed whilst you are at peace. Now, the diplomatic stances are the following. It's up here. Now, because I'm a trade league in this particular case, I have the mercantile one, but I cannot change this because I am at war. This is because of some of the modifiers that were added to some of the empires that did really interesting things, such as supremacist empires will no longer change out of supremacists in the middle of a war of humiliation if you want to blow up their fleet. So supremacists would basically get massive diplomatic weight from fleet power, change war exhaustion, naval capacity, etc. So basically they could just change it to something else and try to go for different war exhaustion modifiers, or for different modifiers that would improve their status within the war. That is now no longer possible. So yeah, be aware of that one. There's also the Rubricator Shard Dragon. It will no longer kill your planet immediately if you decide to colonize that particular dig site. It won't kill it immediately. It will take 2 years. It will take 2 years of just faffing about and then murder everybody down there, which is nice. The greater good resolutions now actually have breach events attached to them. So the greater goods is the greater good right here. So you can be in, if you have a living standard that is banned, you will actually be able to see the fact that there is breaches going on, and you can of course make those empires illegal. Then there's of course a slew of stability and performance boosts specifically for multiplayer. There is a massive amount of out of sync features and bugs that have been fixed. Please make sure that you go and check those out, because these are really nice for those of you who do play multiplayer, as well as a bunch of other things. UI interface for unassigned envoys that has been added can now be opened through clicking on the envoy count in the top bar. Oh yeah, alright, cool. Oh, unassigned invoice. Interesting. So, okay, so that's a thing. Can I actually tell them to do anything? No, okay. So we can now go to the unassigned envoy screen. So that is nice. Jovarian Pox sample modifier now has a different icon. The Galactic Community scroll bar is now properly sized. Ah, yes. Okay, well, that's a scroll bar. I guess it's now properly sized. How nice. Enclaves and Marauders now show their government names in the contact lists. So let's take a quick look here at the contact lists. Oh yeah, the Marauder Conet. That's nice. The Vryn Horde. How very nice. So that's nice. There's a bunch of modding support here. A whole bunch of interesting bug fixes that have been rolled out as well. Such as my personal favorite. You can no longer be a hegemon origin if you're starting as an egalitarian, because hegemon is it's autocratic by default. So yeah, that's interesting. Also, the hegemon origin will now start off with a 20-year term instead of status change. So this is actually kind of important. If we look at the laws here, succession change for hegemon, it automatically starts off with status change, which basically means if another member surpasses the leader by 25, it is now 20-year by default. So because there was always a chance of the AI changing their stances in their policy, their diplomatic stances, they could all of a sudden like boost over you, and then you would lose your hegemon status, and then it would be all downhill from there. But now that has changed, so that is nice. Merchant guilds can use Byzantine bureaucracy. That's nice. Fixed shoulder of giants, sometimes lacking the planets needed for the chain of progress. That's good. Fleets with the nanite interdictor can now be upgraded. So yeah, there's a bunch of good stuff there. The Shadowed Ring starting system now cannot not have any further megastructures. So yeah, no more building of other megastructures inside of the ring capital. I'm gonna post the list for the patch notes down below if you want to go and check them out. Please do so. But we're gonna go and take it from here. Thank you all so much, everybody, especially my patrons. I'm not gonna ask you to sign up for the Patreon at this moment, even though it would be nice to do so. My daughter will be turning 1 year old next month. Down in the description below is a link, or at least the link is a address to my P.O. box that I've had for over a year. I never bothered to post because I didn't think it would add any value and nobody would ever send me any mail. However, if you want to send my little girl a happy birthday card, because we're all in quarantine and a birthday party ain't happening anytime soon, that would be really much appreciated. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take good care of yourselves, and as always, read them patch notes.